Few developments have helped government agencies innovate faster or more effectively than the evolution of the cloud. I'm Wyatt Cash with Scoop News Group, and here to talk about the cloud's impact on the public sector and how that's fostered innovation is Dwayne Spriggs, Service Delivery Director at the Department of Justice. Dwayne, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me today.
Well, I'd like to open it up by asking, how has the cloud enabled your agency to make significant improvements in the services that it delivers to the public?
So it's really been about our improvements in flexibility and responsiveness. Being able to respond to new requirements and emerging requirements was such a struggle in our old data center architectures, and customers' increasing demand was also very cumbersome to respond to. So with the cloud technologies, we've been able to put those types of requirements into place pretty quickly. What used to take us months, maybe even I would dare to say years, has now been taking us less than six weeks in most cases, and sometimes even in days. We've been able to put new requirements into production and address customer demands.
And in addition to maybe being able to do things faster, can you talk about what the primary technology challenges were that your agency faced in delivering these kinds of services, and how did the cloud actually help you overcome them?
Right. So in the past, we've had to have technology already in place. So it was kind of like building in advance. You had to understand or anticipate the requirements of customers, build the technology because you needed an extra long lead time to have the technology in place and tested and ready to go. That flexibility was really hard to get ahead of. And so once you spent a lot of time on developing infrastructures and technical solutions, you were waiting for the requirements to come in. Now with the cloud, we can evolve technology as well as we have evolving requirements coming in. And as those requirements come in, we can take the time to invest in technology, test technology, and keep innovating, because now we don't have to make that requirement fit to an existing technology. We can have both work in parallel, the requirement and the innovation of the technology. So previously, our technology was already built in most cases. We were just waiting for requirements to come in. And if we had to, we forced those requirements to fit into the technology. So just so we can meet it.
Absolutely. Well, can you describe a couple of key outcomes that the cloud has allowed your agency to achieve compared to, say, where you were a couple of years ago?
One of the things that we've been able to see with the new cloud, with the cloud technology, again, is the responsiveness. Some of the outcomes have been, especially in the world of application development, being able to do application code changes really very quickly, being able to put new functionalities that come into to us from our customers, being able to address their requirements very quickly has always been one of the challenges that we've had. But with the cloud technology, it's been the ability to respond that has just made it a game changer for us. One of those issues that we've seen in the past was, the development efforts, even though we had moved to an agile approach, the infrastructure wasn't there, the technology wasn't there to allow us to fully embrace the agile approach. So even though we had 2-week sprints and we were having functionality developed in that 2-week sprint, trying to deploy it without the cloud technology just proved to be as cumbersome as we had with the actual waterfall approaches. So that is the areas that we see the significant changes with our technology.
Absolutely. And then lastly, what were maybe one or two key lessons or even surprises that you experienced moving to the cloud? And additionally, where do you plan to adopt cloud services moving forward?
So what was a surprise to me was the amount of technical debt we had actually accumulated. Technical debt being how long it's been since you made significant technology investments or investments into technology to keep your applications modernized and current with technology, as you will. One of those areas that was surprising to me was how much technical debt we had accumulated. It's not a real good no real good known method of calculating technical debt and making it more quantifiable. But it's like, for instance, one of the surprises that we had with the technical debt was we realized in working with some of our end users and customers that they had had workarounds they put in place for technical debt, like because the system couldn't keep up with their business requirements, they had manual processes that on top of the automated processes they were using, and that wasn't captured anywhere. It was just something that was ingrained into institutional knowledge. So having to be able to, as part of the cloud modernization and the modernization of an application, be able to pick that from the end users and the customers to say, how do you do this work now? And what have you done to overcome this technical debt was a complete surprise for us. And then we started seeing more and more that we really underestimated the amount of technical debt we had because of the technology had been so stagnant for so long. Going forward, of course, we want to have the focus not to continue down that path of technical debt. We've had significant efforts in getting them to the cloud and getting our systems modernized. Now we can't rest here because this is how we ended up here, right? So we got to keep looking forward and trying to figure out how we're going to continue to modernize within the cloud. And some of the areas that we're looking at is using existing cloud services or native cloud services. We're starting to get more into that area of looking at the native cloud services to go ahead and buy it as a service rather than to try to build it in the cloud as a service. So those are the areas there. And there's another area that I'm trying to get to, serverless technology. So there's no infrastructure that you're really working with in the cloud. You're really just calling services like APIs, what we call in the cloud for certain applications. So that's what we see our next innovation or evolution, if you will, on trying to keep us up to date with our technology, as well as avoiding accumulating that technical debt again.
Well, Dwayne Spriggs, thank you so much for sharing some of those thoughts and observations with our audience, and for the work that you're doing at the Department of Justice. So thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, thank you.